At a grocery store in small town, a black Marine sniper just back from deployment stops to grab eggs and oat milk. Within minutes, 6 cops swarm him with guns drawn. No questions, no warning, just matches the description. Handcuffed and humiliated in front of stunned shoppers, he stays calm, silent, and steady. What the officers don't know is they've just targeted the wrong man, and today they will learn a lesson they will never forget. Before we dive in this story, let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Travis Boone wasn't just another face in the crowd. He was a 6'2" black man with a square jaw, shoulders built from years of combat, and eyes that looked like they'd seen the end of the world and made it home anyway. 32 years old. Skin dark as walnut, scar just under his left cheekbone from Fallujah. He wore a plain gray hoodie, jeans that still fit like deployment gear, and scuffed boots that hadn't touched American soil in almost a year. Former Marine sniper, staff sergeant, 3 combat tours. He'd just been honorably discharged and was still on standby with the reserves. Technically active, but floating. No ceremony, no banner. Just a flight, a cot at the VA, and a list of things he couldn't stop remembering. 6 days back in Crestwood, Missouri, and Travis hadn't unpacked a single box. It was Monday, just past 4 p.m., and Red Valley Market sat on the corner of Franklin and 9th, humming with dull fluorescent lights and soft rock from the ceiling speakers. Travis had a short list in his notes app: oat milk, eggs, trash bags. That was it. He wasn't in a rush, still moved like someone who expected the ground to shake at any moment. He had his earbuds in, nothing playing, just noise cancel. Sometimes silence was louder than a mortar. He turned into aisle 8, canned goods and breakfast cereals. The only other person there was an old man picking through off-brand oatmeal. Travis scanned the shelves, eyes slow and focused. His lower back still ached from the VA cot, but he didn't complain. He never did. And then it happened. Shadows moved from both ends of the aisle, 6 officers, fast, tight formation, boots slapping tile, hands hovered near holsters. "Hands where I can see 'em," one barked. "Right fucking now," another added, already unholstering. Travis froze. His pulse dropped instead of spiking. Training. He raised both hands slowly, carefully, deliberately, not afraid, calculated. "Sir, I think you got the wrong. Turn the fuck around. Now." Cuffs hit his wrists like gunmetal snakes. Cold, tight, too tight. One officer yanked his arm back so hard Travis almost dropped to a knee. His heart didn't race. It slowed. The world tunneled in. He heard a gasp behind him, maybe from the woman clutching a frozen dinner, maybe the kid with a phone halfway raised, filming. "What did he even do?" someone whispered near the freezer. A rookie, still breathing heavy, piped up, "Matches the description, robbery in Pine Hill last night." Travis blinked. Pine Hill, that was 30 minutes away. "I live here," he said, voice even, eyes still on the shelf. "Been back from Iraq for 6 days. My ID's in my wallet, military." No one checked. One officer did a lazy pat-down, pulled out the wallet, glanced at the ID, then tossed it into a plastic bag like it was gum wrapper trash. The walk to the exit wasn't long, but it felt eternal. They pushed his head down into the cruiser. He caught his reflection in the side mirror. His jaw clenched tight. The pain in his wrists was sharp, but it wasn't what burned. It was the humiliation. Outside, a teenager was still recording. A man with a cart full of bananas just stood there, pretending not to see. A mother turned her child away, muttering something about people like that. Inside the patrol car, no one said a damn thing, just static from the radio and his own breath, slow and steady, like he was back in a sniper nest with sand in his lungs. The cruiser pulled away from Red Valley Market. Nobody waved, nobody asked questions, nobody cared that he hadn't done a goddamn thing. The ride to the precinct was dead quiet except for the low crackle of the radio and the sound of Travis's cuffs rattling against the vinyl seat. No one said shit. No one looked at him. The guy in the passenger seat glanced once at his ID, still sealed in that plastic bag, then muttered, "Should have stayed your ass overseas." That was it. Nothing else. Travis didn't react. He'd learned in Iraq that some fights weren't worth wasting breath on, especially when the enemy was wearing the same flag on their shoulder. Inside Crestwood PD, they processed him like a shoplifter. Fingerprints. Mugshot. Pat down by a rookie with shaky hands and bad breath. His phone? Still in the cruiser. Wallet and belt? Tossed into a tray like trash. No one asked questions, no one gave answers. A sergeant behind bulletproof glass told him, "You'll get your one call after we confirm everything." Didn't even look up when she said it. Travis nodded once, not because he accepted it, but because he'd run out of ways to say what the fuck is wrong with y'all. They walked him down a narrow hallway that smelled like piss and pine sol. At the end was a holding cell. No bench, no sink, just concrete walls and the faint hum of something electrical. The door slammed shut behind him with a sound that felt personal. He sat on the floor, back against the cinder blocks, knees pulled in. Cold crawled through his jeans. His wrist throbbed from the cuffs, purple already setting in like bruises born from memory. He leaned his head back and closed his eyes. For a second, the cell blurred into something else. An old compound outside Fallujah. Sand in his ears. Blood in the dirt. He remembered lying on a rooftop for 17 hours in 117-degree heat, waiting for a convoy to pass. Remembered the taste of iron in his mouth after dragging a wounded comrade 80 yards through machine gun fire. There was honor in that hell. Purpose, something that made the scars feel like stories worth keeping. But this was just insult. And it cut deeper. Hours passed, maybe. There was no clock, no window, just time bleeding into itself. At some point, maybe around 3 a.m., a guard passed by the bars and said something. Travis didn't catch it. He didn't ask for it to be repeated. He just kept staring at the wall, lost in the dull hum of fluorescent light and distant doors slamming shut like punctuation marks in. He thought about his mom, Miss Edna Boone. She didn't even know he was home yet. He'd planned to surprise her on Sunday after church, show up with a pie from her favorite diner. She used to say, "Always walk proud, baby, even when they looking at you sideways." But there was no pride in this place. Just bruises, silence, and a damn good reason to disappear. By the time the morning light cut through the hallway, Travis hadn't slept. Not even a blink. His knees were stiff, his back felt like someone had stomped it in, but that wasn't what made him feel broken. What did it was the tray that slid under his door. A paper plate with what looked like powdered eggs, toast you could use as a coaster, and a tiny cup of water. No fork, no napkin, just enough to remind him he wasn't dead. Yet. When he asked the guard if he could call someone, the guy snorted and walked away like Travis had just asked for filet mignon. He didn't eat. One bite and his stomach turned like it knew better. He leaned back against the wall and stared at nothing, tried to breathe, tried not to clench his fists, tried not to let the shame wrap around his throat like another set of cuffs. Then came the sound of keys again, footsteps, slower this time, more deliberate. Something was shifting, and Travis could feel it coming. The footsteps stopped just outside the cell. Travis stood on instinct. He wasn't about to let them find him on the floor again. The door clanked open, and there he was, the same officer who'd bagged his ID like it was a used napkin. His voice was dull now, bored even. "Let's go, Boone." No explanation, no apology, just command. Travis followed, wrists still cuffed, arms stiff from sleeping against cold brick. He didn't ask where they were going. He didn't need to. They led him to a small room with one table bolted to the floor, 2 metal chairs, and a camera blinking in the corner, like an eye that never blinks. A new man entered. Older, salt and pepper stubble, shoulders like he used to be a cop when that meant something. He dropped a thin file on the table and sat across from Travis. For a moment he just looked at him. Like he was trying to read a language he forgot how to speak. "You a Marine?" he finally asked. Travis nodded. "Still active, technically. Just got back. Iraq. 3rd tour." "Where?" the man asked. "Al-Qaim. Before that Ramadi. A lot of desert. A lot of dead air." The man nodded like he understood more than he let on. He pulled out a blurry surveillance photo. "This is the guy we were looking for." It was a grainy image. Hoodie, dark jeans, scruffy face, caught mid-step outside a liquor store. "That's supposed to be me?" Travis asked, barely hiding the disgust. Honestly? The detective said, rubbing his jaw. No, not to me, but the guy who brought you in thought it was close enough to slap cuffs on. Travis didn't blink. I told them who I was, gave them my ID. You think that stopped them? The man winced like he'd swallowed something sour. Yeah, I saw the report. There was a long silence, broken only by the faint ticking of something behind the wall. Look, the man said, voice softer now. I've already sent the order to release you. Gotta run through the system. You'll be out by this afternoon. Travis didn't move. That's it? The detective leaned back. Wrong place, wrong time. I know that's bullshit, but that's what it is. I read your file. You saved lives out there, got citations, letters. You're the kind of guy we're supposed to be proud of. He looked down, suddenly interested in the scuff on the table's edge. I'm sorry. Travis laughed, sharp and bitter. Sorry doesn't pull the videos off people's phones. Doesn't unhumiliate me in front of a crowd of strangers. The detective sighed, dragged a hand down his face. You're right. It doesn't. They walked him back to his cell, but Travis didn't sit. He stood against the wall, hands still cuffed, head high. If he sat again, he'd feel like he gave something up, and he wasn't in the mood to surrender anything else. A young officer passed by, slowed his step, looked like he recognized him, then kept walking. Maybe he knew. Maybe a few of them did, but none of them said a damn word. Hours passed. Again, the same sergeant from before came down with a clipboard and an attitude. You're being released. No charges. Clean record. Travis raised an eyebrow. So why the hell was I booked? The sergeant didn't even flinch. You weren't. Just detained. Nothing on your file. She handed him a plastic bag with his wallet, a receipt for his belt and a slip for his phone, which, apparently, was still at the store. He didn't ask why. As he stepped outside, still in the same hoodie with a tear near the hem, the sun hit different. Too bright, too sharp, like everything was trying too hard to look normal, and then he saw the kid, standing awkwardly by the curb, early 20s, nervously shifting from one foot to the other. You dropped this, the kid said, holding out Travis's phone. I saw the video online. Figured they wouldn't give it back, so I waited. Travis took the phone. No cracks, no case. Thanks, he muttered. What's your name? Ramon, the kid replied. Didn't film it, but I saw it. That girl posted it, said you were military. My uncle served too. Travis gave a nod. This one meant something. He turned and walked toward the sidewalk, each step heavy, not with pain, but with weight. Like the ground beneath him no longer felt like his. He didn't know it yet, but somewhere out there, the ripple had already started, and it was heading straight for the surface. By the time Travis made it back to his apartment, the video had already cracked over 50,000 views. He hadn't watched it yet, couldn't bring himself to. But the notifications wouldn't stop. Pings from Instagram, text messages from numbers he didn't recognize, a voicemail from his mom that simply said, "Boy, what the hell happened at that damn store? Don't make me come raise hell in Crestwood, 'cause you know I will." That one almost made him laugh. Almost. The video was posted by a high schooler named Tasha Melendez, who'd been in the frozen food section when the cops swarmed Travis like he had a bomb strapped to his chest. Her caption was short, sharp, and deadly. This man showed ID, they cuffed him anyway, what are we even doing? It spread like wildfire, not just views, outrage. Comments flooded in, they didn't even check his ID, that's a Marine for fuck's sake. This is why people don't trust shit anymore. One of those people who saw it was Staff Sergeant Julian Cross, currently stationed at Camp Lejeune. He froze mid-scred when he saw the video. Yo, that's Boone, he told his bunkmate, almost dropping his phone. He trained me in Ramadi, carried 2 guys to a chopper under fire, took a round to the shoulder, and still didn't bitch once. That man saved my life. Julian didn't just share the video, he posted a story, the thread, a digital testimonial, tagged every vet group he knew, sent it to friends, journalists, even a few senators. That post made it to Colonel Dana Wexler at Quantico. She remembered Travis. She'd signed off on his Silver Star back in 2018, even fought for it when the review board dragged their feet like they always did with black servicemen. She forwarded the video and the thread to one more person. General Ava Hightower didn't get involved in local police business. She commanded entire regions, signed deployment orders, authorized drone strikes, but when she saw that video, she stopped. Watched it 3 times, then watched it again. She remembered Travis Boone from a base in Tikrit. Quiet, disciplined, volunteered for every damn graveyard shift like it was nothing, never asked for recognition, just got shit done. She stood at her window, looked out over the Pentagon's east courtyard, then said to her aide, "Get me the judge's name, cancel my Friday." Back in Crestwood, Travis didn't know any of this was happening. He sat on the edge of his tub, staring at the bruises around his wrists like they were birthmarks he'd forgotten about. His phone buzzed again, another share, another comment, another stranger calling him brother or hero or damn, I'm sorry, man. None of it erased what happened. Friday morning came with a low fog hanging over Rutherford County Courthouse, the kind that makes the air thick, like something's waiting to break. Travis stepped out of the county van in county-issued slip-ons and borrowed khakis. He didn't ask for clothes. They just showed up at his door the night before, delivered by a local veteran outreach volunteer with a post-it note that read, "You're not alone. See you Friday." The courtroom wasn't packed, but it wasn't empty either. A few college students, a couple guys in military ball caps sitting straight-backed in the back row, a woman in a brown suit near the wall typing furiously into her phone. Maybe press, maybe not. Travis walked in unshackled, but it still felt like chains clung to his skin. He sat beside a public defender named Zoe Tran, who leaned in and whispered, "I got your case late. This whole thing's bullshit, just so you know." The judge entered, Leo Callan, silver hair, sharp tongue, known for chewing up lawyers who wasted his time. He adjusted his glasses, skimmed the file, and let out a slow, annoyed sigh. "Mr. Boone," he began, "you were detained without a warrant, based on a misidentified image, is that correct?" Travis nodded once. "Yes, sir." Judge Callan frowned. "And you presented valid ID at the time?" "Yes, sir," Travis replied again. "Military ID?" The judge looked over the paperwork. "Then why the hell are we here?" Zoe stood. "Your Honor, we're filing a motion to dismiss all charges." "There are no charges," Callan snapped. "There's just a mess." Murmurs filled the room. A guy in the back muttered, "Damn right." And then the doors opened again. A hush fell over the courtroom. General Ava Hightower entered in full dress uniform, 4 stars gleaming, chest full of ribbons. Her presence hit the room like thunder, wearing heels. She walked with the authority of someone who'd buried friends and sent thousands home in boxes, and didn't take that weight lightly. She stopped just feet from the bench. "Permission to address the court," she said. Judge Callan blinked. "Yes, you may." She turned to Travis. "Staff Sergeant Boone," she began, her voice calm but ringing like a bell. "I've followed your career since Tikrit. You are a decorated marksman, a team leader, and an embodiment of what the uniform should represent." She turned back to the judge. What happened to this Marine wasn't just a mistake. It was a failure, a disgrace. A failure to distinguish between suspicion and service. And a failure that embarrassed not just this court, but my command and this country. Nobody moved. Not even the bailiff. General Hightower turned again to Travis, eyes steady. "On behalf of every officer who ever gave you a command, I apologize. You did not deserve to be humiliated. You deserve to be honored." She stepped back, crisp and unshaken. Judge Callan let out a breath like he'd been holding it since she walked in. "Well, Mr. Boone," he said, tapping the gavel once, "this hearing is concluded. You're free to go, and on behalf of this court—" He glanced at the press. "I apologize." The room held still for half a second, then breathed again. As Travis stood, the 2 vets in the back nodded once, a salute without the motion. Outside, the camera crews were already setting up. The microphones waited like open mouths, but Travis wasn't done. Not yet. Something inside him had shifted, and it was about to move the room. Outside the courthouse, the wind had picked up. Reporters swarmed, cameras clicked, lights flickered like insects around a porch lamp. A young woman with tightly coiled braids and a press badge clipped to her sweater raised her mic. "Mr. Boone, would you speak to what this means for returning veterans?" Travis cut her off without looking. "Not right now," he said. Calm, final. "I said not now." Then he walked down the steps, alone for half a second, until Miss Edna Boone, his mother, stepped in beside him. She didn't hug him, didn't fuss, just stood there, shoulder to shoulder, letting him know she was there. "You okay?" she asked, soft as a hymn. Travis didn't look at her. "No," he said, "but I'm here." That was enough. Down the block, parked half illegally near a fire hydrant, was a black SUV. Its door opened and out stepped General Hightower, this time without her cap. "Mind if I walk with you?" she asked. Travis gave a shrug that felt like permission. They walked together down Maple Street, the courthouse fading behind them. After a moment, she spoke first. "You handled yourself with more restraint than I ever could have." Travis didn't miss a beat. "Didn't feel like I had a choice." Hightower nodded slowly. "Still, it mattered. People saw, people heard. That carries weight." Travis stopped walking. "I haven't said anything yet." She raised an eyebrow. "You planning to?" He looked up at a crooked streetlight buzzing faintly in the wind. "I might." 3 days passed before he said a word publicly. He ignored interview requests, let emails pile up, turned his phone over just to avoid the constant buzz. But then came the message from a high school counselor named Mr. Shin. Subject line, "We need you to talk to them." The body read, "Staff Sergeant Boone, we have a JROTC group. About 30 students. Some saw the video. A few now question if military service is worth it." And kids said, "Why wear a uniform if they still treat you like a suspect? Would you come in?" Nothing formal, just 20 minutes of truth. Travis read it twice. Then a third time. Something about that line. 20 minutes of truth settled in his chest like gravity. That Friday he showed up at Hillside High's old auditorium wearing the same uniform he hadn't touched since returning. He ironed it himself, boots polished until the tips reflected ceiling lights. Miss Edna watched him from the doorway before he left. "You sure about this?" she asked. "No," he said, "but it feels right." The room wasn't fancy. Plastic chairs, a dusty curtain. Flags on stands that leaned a little left. The students were scattered, some slouched, some scrolling their phones. Nobody really looked up until he stepped to the mic, and even then not all at once. "I'm not here to convince anybody of anything," Travis began. "Not here to defend this country, not here to explain away what happened last week." He let the silence sit. "I'm just here to tell you what I've seen, and what I've learned." He told them about nights in Al-Qaim where the only light came from tracer rounds, about losing friends, about dragging someone to safety while his own shoulder bled. But then he pivoted. He told them about Red Valley Market, about the cuffs, the silence, the stares, the way the badge didn't mean shit once they'd already decided who he was. A boy in the front, maybe 17, tight fade and a green ROTC jacket, raised his hand. "Why didn't you lose it? Why didn't you snap on him?" Travis looked at him dead on. "I thought about it," he said. "But I wasn't just wearing my name that day, I was wearing yours. Every kid like you, every sister who ever got overlooked, every vet who came home invisible." A girl near the back, serious-eyed, asked, "Would you still serve, knowing all this?" Travis paused. "Yeah," he said, "but I'd serve different. I wouldn't swallow shit just to keep peace. I wouldn't be quiet about what felt wrong. I'd speak up. Like I'm doing now." Applause didn't come immediately, but it came. Honest, measured, real. Afterward, students lined up. One hugged him without asking. Another slipped him a folded paper. "Thanks for saying what my dad never could." Outside, Mr. Shin waited by the parking lot. "I don't know what you did in there," he said, "but that room changed when you spoke." Travis looked back toward the building. They didn't need answers. They just needed honesty. By Monday, a short clip from the school talk landed on PBS. Quiet, clean, no spin. Just Travis standing under cheap lights, speaking steady and calm. That clip went viral. Veterans reposted, kids commented, activists clipped it into reels. One tweet read, "He didn't raise his voice, that's scarier than yelling." Another, "God help us if we need men like this and treat them like garbage." The Crestwood Police Department released a statement so dry it could have been printed on sandpaper. "We regret the incident. It remains under internal review." No one bought it. Within a week, the officer who cuffed Travis, Brent Tully, 2 years on the force, was on administrative leave. His file leaked. Prior complaints, buried ones, now wide open. But Travis didn't post about it, didn't gloat. He let others speak, like Staff Sergeant Julian Cross, who wrote in Task and Purpose, "If Boone trained you, you knew 3 things. He shot straight, cared deep, and expected more from you than anyone else." Vigils began. Not protests, vigils. Outside the precinct, no signs, just candles, photos of soldiers who never got a real welcome home. Reggie, the kid who gave Travis his phone back, got interviewed on a podcast. Voice cracking, he said, "He looked like my uncle. It was the least I could do." Even Tasha Melendez, who filmed the original video, ended up on a youth panel about digital witnessing. Her clip had crossed 2.5 million views. But Travis stayed grounded. He visited his mom on weekends, repaired her leaky faucet, walked her to church. People stared sometimes, asked for photos. One woman left a pecan pie on his doorstep with a note, "Semper Fi." He told his mom one night while folding laundry, "I didn't do anything heroic." Miss Edna looked at him. "You stood still in the middle of a storm," she said. "That's harder than people know." The part that got him most weren't the views, it was the letters. Real ones. Envelopes. Stamps. From kids. From veterans. From a woman in Alabama whose dad was arrested the same way in '87. From a boy in Kansas who wrote, "If people like you serve, maybe I should too." He read every damn one. Then one day, he picked up his phone, opened the camera, and recorded a short clip. No music, no filter, just Travis. "People keep asking what I want," he said. "Truth is, I didn't ask for any of this. But since it's here, I hope we don't waste it. I hope next time someone's accused of something we slow down. I hope the uniform means something again, not just on paper, but in practice. And if you're watching this wondering what to do next, maybe start by looking at the person beside you. Make sure they're seen." That video hit 3.2 million views in 48 hours. But he had one more stop to make. When Mrs. Webb from the Crestwood Juvenile Center reached out, asked if he'd speak to a group of teens, Travis didn't hesitate. "No camera," he told her. "Wasn't planning on one," she replied. That Wednesday he showed up. Jeans, hoodie, no ribbons. The room was low-ceilinged, off-white, full of slumped kids who didn't flinch when the door opened. Travis stood in front. No mic, no speech. "I'm not your dad, not your preacher. I've done shit I don't expect you to understand," he started. "But I know what it's like to be looked at like you're a problem before you've said a word." Heads lifted, arms unfolded. "I got arrested in a grocery store. Didn't run, didn't yell, still ended up in cuffs." The kid asked, arms crossed, "So what? You just forgive that?" "No," Travis said. "But I don't carry it like a chain. I carry it like a warning label." Another leaned forward. "You ever do something you regret, not 'cause you're bad, but 'cause nobody taught you better?" "All the damn time," Travis replied. "Regret'll trap you, but accountability? That's where freedom starts." He looked around. "So here's my question. What would you do different if you knew someone you loved was watching?" No one answered. But they were thinking. Afterward, one skinny kid with untied shoes came up. "You really shot someone?" he asked. "Yeah," Travis said. because they were about to kill a family. I didn't want to, but I had to. The kid nodded. I want to be better, just don't know where to start. Travis handed him a folded sheet. Names of recruiters, not advice, just options. As the boy walked off, Mrs. Webb stood beside him. You shook something loose today. Travis shook his head. They were already moving. I just showed up. And in that quiet room full of kids the world had written off, something started to heal. The headlines faded. Cameras moved on, but Travis didn't. Weeks later, he sat on a bench in Crestwood Park, watching the breeze move through the trees. Just jeans, old ball cap, and a sandwich his mom had packed without asking. A father and son passed by. The kid stared. Hey, the boy said. Were you the guy from the video? Travis smiled. Yeah, that was me. The boy beamed. My teacher showed us. You didn't yell. I liked that. Travis nodded. Appreciate it. As they walked off, the father gave him a look. Quiet, respectful, almost ashamed. Travis nodded back. Later that night, he flipped open an old notebook, tore off a fresh page, and wrote, It's not about what happens to you. It's what you do with it after. And then he went back to work. No spotlight, no fanfare, just showing up.